Welcome back Spearfishing Down Under to the last part of our Girl Power series. A couple of people asked me why I did a Girl Power series. Now for me, I didn't want to just do a series to get views from how people think women look. Here at Spearfishing Down Under, we're inspired by strong, powerful women that are exceptional spearos. You know, we saw Nikki, we saw Kimmy, we saw Lisa, Jess. We've seen these incredible women spearos that have shot amazing fish and are absolutely incredible in the water. I thought I wanted to highlight that and show people that, listen, these women can do amazing stuff. This episode is the second part of diving with my friends from the UK, Hayden and Lisa. Last episode, we were talking about the fact that their spearfishing gear hadn't arrived, and their luggage actually arrived when we got home from that first day of spearfishing. We packed the car, had a quick nap, got up around midnight and headed straight towards central Queensland. We launched a boat and we headed out to meet my friends Michael and Jess from Sailing Poppa. These guys live on a yacht, sailing up and down the east coast of Australia. They run their own YouTube channel and you can find the link to that in our description. I've known Michael and Jess for many, many years. We've dove together lots and lots of times. I've spent a little bit of time staying on their boat with them and we've shot some really cool fish together. Now, as in most of my trips, we tried to jam as much diving as we could into this trip. So instead of just heading straight out to the guys from Sailing Poppa, we decided we were going to do some diving on the way out. First stop, we pulled up, dropped the anchor, and we're right on the change of tide, so we had no current. I did a dive just to check out what was on the bottom, and a really nice mackerel swam by. Followed the mackerel. Couldn't get a shot at it, but I noticed there was some big trout on the bottom. Oh, that mackerel was just about coming in range. I was just about to shoot and he went, ah. Now, the guys, their goal for this trip was always to shoot some bigger fish and also to find some reef fish they'd never seen before. Head to the surface, called out to Hayden and said, hey Hayden, some really nice trout on the bottom. Hayden dove, hunted that thing perfectly and shot himself his very first coral trout. Next dive I took, I got to the bottom and there was a really nice school of red emperor. None of these fish were legal. They have to be 55 centimeters, which is a really good sized fish, but they are just beautiful to look at. These fish are really tasty, highly prized, and probably top of the list of most sought after fish here in central Queensland. We moved locations and re-anchored on an area that I've seen mackerel and big schools of trevally in the past. We jumped in the water, massive school of trevally swam under the three of us. Hayden and Lisa dove. Picked out a trevally. They were a mixture of golden trevally and gold spot trevally. Quite a tasty species and make really good curry. Nice and gentle, Lisa. Nice and gentle, because you got a bad shot on him. Nice and gentle, okay? Lisa and Hayden both shot themselves a really nice trevally. And honestly, the next 15 minutes was just mayhem as they landed their fish, trying to get those fish in their hands. Quite funny to watch. Got him. Yeah, it's wrapped around. I got it. Hold still.
Thank you.
Say again?
They notice you and they're down there and they turn away a lot.
So what you want to do,
Yeah.
you want to dive down to their level and have your gun tucked in with your hand on the trigger. Just looking and they'll come in behind you. You just like
Turn and go.
and roll it out slowly and shoot in the head. And like the more you go at them, they go spook. They turn away.
They go.
You wanted to actually swim at you
Yeah.
and just go. For them straight away, it was ticking off the list of shooting big fish. They had their big fish stoke, a stoke that I really miss out on these days because I've shot so many really big fish. But to dive with people like this, you're always reminded how exciting this is for them. After the guys put their trevally in the esky, we dove again and I'd seen some more trout on the bottom. Lisa dove. And this time, she was able to pick off a nice coral trout. From the surface, I noticed that trout was going to get her into the bottom and get stuck, so I made sure I dove straight down and pulled that trout out of the hole for her straight away.
Yes.
Yes! 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 Yes!
As I headed back to the surface, she was waiting on the surface. This time she didn't leave me hanging with that knuckles, and I come up for the knuckles I was waiting for a whole day.
Okay, thank you.
Good job, girl.
Well, you straighten you out that time too.
Next dive for Hayden. He was laying on the bottom because he'd seen a couple of coral trout, but as he lay there, a sea snake swam straight up behind him. That's a tongue twister. Sea snake swam straight up behind him. As he lay there, a sea snake swam straight up behind him. Now, I've swum with hundreds of sea snakes and it's not the sort of thing that scares me at all. But this is a first for Hayden, so he was freaked out as he started to swim away. That sea snake followed him and got to the surface. He was just going, oh my goodness, the thing's trying to eat me. It started getting late. I knew we still had about 50 kilometers to go to meet Tack and Jess. So we started heading their way, but there's a little spot on the way that I've shot smallmouth nanny guy before. So just before dark, we pulled up, jumped in the water. Again, I probably should have just kept going. So I said to Hayden, here's a first for you. Let's get in the water and see if you can shoot a smallmouth nanny guy. We did a couple of dives and Hayden finally got himself a nice smallmouth. Lisa and I jumped in.
We're going to go back up to the start real quickly. Oi, come and get us. Come grab us. Come get us. Hold this down. I'll really low quick. Gotta go again. She missed.
Got it. Go back in the
We'll go again. They're just not here. They back up further a bit. Try and go a little deeper than us. Yeah. Go a little bit deeper so they come above you.
Like spread out in a circle around me.
Yeah. Go just that little bit deeper, they come above you.
Okay, cool. Getting dark here.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you. Oh, that's that big school right there.
It was way too dark. We did a couple of drifts. She had a try, but on the bottom it was nearly pitch black and she wasn't able to get herself a smallmouth. So we jumped in the boat knowing that it was pretty rough. And from that point, we had about 30 k's to go in the dark. So we just bolted to Tack and Jess. On the way, I knew those guys would be freaking out, but I also knew they know me and know that I was going to be turning up late.
We were getting a little bit worried, but you add the Tim factor and it's like, all right, we can see these little nav lights getting absolutely hammered coming over they just keep appearing and reappearing. It's blowing 20 knots offshore westerly and he's heading straight into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, big day of diving tomorrow, hopefully. If that's him, I would say
Yeah, that's him. He's coming straight for us now.
But
all right, well,
anyway.
let's set this up. Can't wait to see their faces. They'll be like, what the hell? These Aussies are crazy. Nah, just Tim. He's the other crazy one. Absolute glass out.
You're going to be popping the flog. Where did you come from? So what do you want to do? We've got a big anchor and a chain like ready to drop somewhere. You want to do that?
The next morning, I woke up to a beautiful sunrise and I felt good. The previous 2 days, I'd had 2 hours sleep. So falling asleep on the couch at 10 o'clock at night and waking up at 5, I was totally refreshed and ready for another good day's diving. So the first day's diving in central Queensland for the guys, they'd ticked off their big fish, they'd ticked off a couple of reef fish, but they hadn't seen any sharks yet. So we packed the boat, we all jumped in together, we headed out, and I decided I was going to boatie for the first couple of hours. The guys were in the water for 30 seconds, and I could hear Tack yelling out, "Tiger shark, tiger shark."
Big tiger shark. Big tiger shark. You wanted to see a decent shark, that was a good one. Big tiger. Yeah.
Introduction to diving offshore in central Queensland for these guys was to see a 10-foot tiger shark swimming underneath the boat. The guys did a couple of drifts, they seen some green jobfish. Jess and Lisa split up from Tack and Hayden, and Jess was coaching Lisa. I was in the boat doing some coaching as well. And it was awesome just watching Lisa improve. Every dive, she was getting better and better. After a couple of hours, I jumped in the water and I was doing a drift with Lisa, and we came over a really fishy area. The current had just died a little bit, and I saw some really nice parrotfish on the bottom, and I said, "Lisa, dive, there's some really nice fish there." Lisa dove down and she was stuck between what fish to shoot. There were so many. There's a trout, and a nice parrot came past. She switched and she shot that parrot. Now, within a split second, sharks came from nowhere. This is something Lisa's never experienced before. Fortunately, I was right beside her, dove down, made sure I kept those sharks off the fish.
She shot big Steven. He shot a big one, he lost it here. It just got devoured by sharks. I was trying to find it. Really? All of a sudden this big cloud of crap where the sharks just devoured it.
Now for me who dives with lots of sharks, these sorts of things are just normal, but for guys like this that have never experienced sharks before, it's incredible to watch their comfort level grow as they just be in the water with those animals, learn to be dominant, learn how to actually land fish in amongst huge amounts of sharks. We drifted onto a drop-off, just dropping into deeper water, and Lisa dove and she shot a really big trout. Unfortunately, that trout holed her up in the bottom and got pretty stuck. I'd seen some sharks in the area and I was a bit worried about it getting eaten, so as quick as I could, I dove down to untangle that trout from the bottom.
I hid him, he went into a cave.
Is he still on there?
I think so.
Okay, you hold that.
Yeah.
As I got to the bottom, I could see a white-tip reef shark that was so close to getting into that fish. So I just went headfirst in, grabbed the fish. As I wrestled that fish out of the hole, pushed away from the rock, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a shark come right in behind me and bolt away. I brought that trout to the surface and it was an absolute beast of a trout.
Yes, you! Yes! No, come on.
Lisa had done so well again, shooting not just her first trout, but now her personal best, which was a great fish. Straight after we landed that trout, I saw a couple of nice mackerel come through and I yelled out to Hayden, and as I did, one really nice fish swam straight under him and he dove quickly and got a spear into a really nice mackerel. Now, let me say, this was one of his gold fish for the trip. This was the fish he wanted so badly. I bolted straight over to him and grabbed the line. Fish had taken off. I could see the spear had gone through, but it was a little bit high. That fish absolutely smoked him. Hayden was desperate to land his fish, so I swam as fast as I could, chasing that fish down. Caught up to it together, got a second shot into it. When Hayden got that fish in his hands, he was ready to cry and ready to go straight home to the UK. That was his dream fish. He was absolutely stoked, completely made the trip for him. Up until this point, I hadn't actually shot any fish. I'd just been drifting with the guys. Honestly, doing a fair bit of reloading of guns and swapping guns to help them get onto a fish. And I watched Lisa dive to get a shot at a coral trout. And as she was diving, as she was aiming at that trout, black spot tuskfish had swum in behind her. She didn't see it, she shot at the trout and missed. So I just dove as quick as I could, turned on my camera to shoot myself a really nice tuskfish. These are also one of those really tasty fish that we love to shoot here in central Queensland.
What'd you shoot at?
I shot and I went right through. I think it was another trout.
And you lost it?
And I lost it. It came, honestly, it went right through it, in the middle of its body, and it came out. I don't know.
When you swam after the trout, that thing was following you.
Oh no!
Then you shot, so I bolted down and smacked it.
Oh, cool. Did you see that? No, he did.
She swam down and this thing was following her as she was going to shoot a trout. And so she shot the trout, lost the trout, and I just bolted down and shot theirs. The one she saw yesterday was like 3 times that size.
Now, we'd planned to make this day a shorter day, but I'll be honest with you, always the case for me, short days, I hate them. As soon as I'm in the water, I just want to stay, I want to keep diving. The problem is I've got a big run home. So we're trying to wrap up the day. I'd shot a fish and we drifted into another area that from the surface I could see was just really good country. There's big caves, big cracks, and out of one of the caves from the surface, I could see a huge ornate lobster with its head sticking out of the cave. Now these guys have never encountered crayfish in Australia. They've only encountered crayfish in the UK. Their crayfish, incredibly different to ours. Huge nippers, bit smaller, quite beautiful animals. Our crayfish, they don't have the nippers, just huge horns. I pointed the lobster out to Lisa. Now, in Queensland, you are legally allowed to spear them. So Lisa dove down, she lined up and she shot that lobster. I was right behind her and I could see she'd shot it in right the front of that lobster. I knew she was going to lose it, so I went straight in and grabbed it. As soon as I did, the spear fell out.
That was lucky. I caught it as the spear fell out.
Oh, amazing.
When we come back to the surface, I had both hands around it and it was a massive ornate lobster. Lisa was blown away. She couldn't believe the size of this thing. She'd only ever seen crayfish lobsters this big before. So to see one that was so big, she was just blown away. It was getting really late, so we decided we'd do one last drift, and we're drifting back into a big rock ledge that was covered in fish. As we drifted in, I saw Hayden and Lisa dive, I saw Tack dive, and off in the distance I could see a school of really nice diamond trevally. Now these are the favourite of all of my trevally to eat. They're really tasty, really white fillets. I dove on that diamond, I lined up, he hung back a little bit, just drifted to him and finally got a shot at him. As soon as I pulled the trigger, sharks come flying in, so I did my absolute best to land that thing as quick as I could.
Oh, big diamond. Oi.
When I finally got it in my hands, it was getting late, and I thought, you know what, we really need to head home, take some photos, and let's get out of here.
You got photos, didn't you?
Yeah, just recording it.
Oh, good.
We headed back to Papau, we unloaded some fish, we took a bunch of photos, we said bye to Tack and Jess, and we headed back to Gladstone. We had about a 90-kilometre run back home, and heading in, it was quite flat, so we chatted a little bit, we laughed a little bit. It was great to just, those guys talk about how much they enjoyed just the great hospitality from these two incredible people. We arrived back in Gladstone just after dark, and we actually stopped at a friend's house just to stay for the night and get a little bit of sleep before heading home. Unfortunately, I didn't get too much sleep. Whenever I'm hanging with my friend Johnny, we're always talking fish, and we stayed up till late at night just talking about fish. The next morning, we're up early. I had to drop them back at the airport on the way home because they were getting on a plane to fly straight back to the UK. I've really enjoyed doing this Girl Power series. I hope that you've seen, and if you're a young woman, seeing that young women can be incredible spearfishermen. Spearfisher peoples. Spearfisher, whatever they say. Young women, you also can be incredible spearos like the spearos that I've highlighted over these last episodes. Next episode is actually from my very first time spearfishing in 2024. It's actually a solo trip. I don't like to go diving solo too often, but I needed to do that because no one else could dive with me. And I shot some incredible fish by myself. It's going to be an amazing episode. As always, like, subscribe. We'd love you to click on that bell. Throw some comments. We'd love to hear from you. Spearfishing Down Under. Slay everywhere.